Hey everybody, I have a video that I really wanted to make. I did some reading last night. I found something pretty fascinating and I just wanted to share it here. I've talked a lot about the Mayan creation myth and the turtle and Orion and the three hearthstones with the Orion Nebula depicted as the fire of creation in the middle of that triangle. And this is the late Philip Copán's website. You may be familiar with him from Ancient Aliens, though I didn't agree with everything he said. He does some excellent research and writing, and I just wanted to share this, and I will leave this link below. And it talks about the Mayan creation myth. It says, when the gods arrived at the place of the new creation, they sprang up from a crack in the back of the cosmic turtle. The Maya identified this turtle with the three stars of Orion's belt. The crack is identified with the ball court. And ball court is a common feature on Mayan sites. It says, once reborn, the maize gods directed 4 old gods to set up the first hearth of creation to center the new order. This was a hearth made up from 3 stones. And it says, the Maya saw this hearth in the sky as the triangle of stars below Orion's belt, with Alnitak, Safe, and Rigel, with the Orion Nebula as the fire. And that's the fire creation. And it says this hearth was set up on August 12, 1314, the day of creation. And I will try to leave another link below. I was doing some reading last night where it says this day, August 12, 1314, was directly set up due to Orion's position in the sky that night. And I will try to leave that link below. I should have had that pulled up. But anyway, this triangle with the fire in the middle, I believe that Mayan pyramid sites were set up to depict that. You know, people talk about the Orion correlation and the 3 belt stars, but I believe these pyramids of the Mayans were actually, honoring the Orion Nebula as a place of creation. And I just want to take you into Google Earth here. These are the pyramids at Tikal, which is pretty much a Mayan capital. And here you see these 3 structures here. At the top, they look very much like Orion's belt with these 2 pyramids. And this is the center of the pyramid, kind of the center of the plaza. And I believe this is the 3 belt stars of Orion, with the 2 main stars below it setting up this triangle. And I will leave some other links. I have talked about some other Mayan sites, but I just think that is what we have here depicted at Tikal. And if I can go into this panoramic, and I will leave the link below for the person who shot this, but I will show you the plaza at Tikal. And I believe we're on the structure that would have been in Orion's belt. And you see the pyramids down here, and this formed a triangle. And I believe this is an Orion correlation. And somewhere in the middle of this triangle, right out in this area, there was a fire, and that represented the Orion Nebula. And even below this structure that would have been in Orion's belt, you have this formation of stones here, a big one, and then you notice how the base is kind of offset from these 2. This probably is a depiction of the belt stars of Orion here. So that is the plaza at Tikal, a major city from the Mayans. And I believe this is the hearth, the 3 hearthstones set up. And I just think that that is what we have going on there. That is not talked about very much, but I will leave some links below. But what I found last night, I find extremely fascinating. I'm going to take you over to this website. This is Mounds, Dayton's Bluff Mounds, part of the Mounds located in St. Paul, Minnesota on a river bluff. And what this is here is this is detailed text going over the excavations of some mounds here. Now, these mounds that were right on the river bluff were cleared, so the rich residents of St. Paul had a better view of the Mississippi River. And that is beyond shameful that ancient sites or burial places were desecrated like that. But this happened in the 1890s. But I believe his name is T.L. Lewis. Did some work here, and he documented it very well, and this is just part of it. but it talks about what he found in the mounds and talking about shells, and other artifacts and human remains. But what I find very interesting is down here at the bottom. And he worked with a guy named Mr. Hill. And it says this: Mr. Hill says, a few years ago, when Mounds Boulevard was graded, aboriginal traces were discovered a few inches below the surface in the street at the head of the rise about opposite the west line of Euclid Avenue. And it says, they consisted of a fireplace formed by 3 small boulders near together, blackened by smoke with ashes between them, and close by an old human skeleton in connection with which was a fragile clay pipe, and no other relics were found. But it says here, they consisted of a fireplace formed by 3 small boulders near together, blackened by smoke with ashes in between them. And I believe up here in Minnesota, you have the same thing going on in Guatemala and in Mexico and in Central America with these Mayan places and their mythology of creation. You have the 3 hearthstones with the fire in the middle put in a sacred site by human remains. The Egyptians and the Mayans, everything was a cycle. So you had a place, you had creation honored at the same place as death, and you had death honored at the same place as creation. It was all cyclical. You have a Mayan creation myth thousands of miles away in Minnesota, in St. Paul, Minnesota. I find that fascinating. I made another video where I talked about a clay mask being excavated at this place, and that's exactly what the Mayans did. They placed a clay mask over the dead king or whatever, or whoever was being buried, but it had to be somebody of importance. They put a clay mask over his face, and to preserve the form of the face. That's exactly what the Mayans did. But also here we have the Mayan creation myth being found when they were grading an area for a road. This is the Mayan creation myth, and it was found in Minnesota. It doesn't say that the Mayans were in Minnesota, but more probable is that the Mayan knowledge is so original that it had time to expand to all over North America. This is the Mayan creation myth found in Minnesota. I thought this was fascinating. I thought the people up in Minnesota might need a little bit of help really identifying what they had here in St. Paul. You're welcome. Hope you thought this was interesting. You have a nice day.